issue.
But not for something else?
Not for general renovation. And again, the permit that was issued this week was for plumbing and for the pipe work. And from what we understand from the owner, there apparently is a problem with leaky pipes, and it's our understanding that they're changing out and replacing all the pipes. So that's what has been issued with respect to the permits through the county. In terms of the noise, we will certainly look into the noise issue. We were aware of some of the issues that the tenants raised. One concern that I heard this morning was related to the time of construction, beginning at 7:30, I think the speaker mentioned. I was not aware of that. I don't believe our staff was aware of that as well. From what we understood, construction began at 9 o'clock. Monday through Saturday is what I understood. However, we are, in negotiations with the landlord regarding the construction issue. I do have plans to speak with the representative on Monday, and by that time, I'm hoping that they have some answers for us with respect to the noise issue. We did advise the owner's representative that, in fact, if there is substantial noise at the property, the tenants, while they are there at the property, they do have a right to peaceably and quietly enjoy the property. It's just that simple. And so, we're looking into that if that is a problem. Again, the relocation payments, I think someone mentioned that this morning. We do encourage all landlords who are going through this process to provide payments, financial payments, in the form of a relocation payment to tenants being displaced. This particular landlord has not offered that to the tenants as a whole. It's our understanding that they have offered an early buyout payment to tenants, to only a handful of tenants. So we're working with the owner now to provide further assistance and at least a greater level of assistance to the tenants who are going through this. And so we will certainly advise you, once we have some additional information. And hopefully, again, one other thing, we were able to schedule a tenant meeting for this coming week. Tentatively, it's scheduled for this Thursday. And that was one of the things that we requested of the owner because, quite frankly, a tenants meeting should have occurred earlier in the process, whereby the owner would have informed the tenants what's happening, what their plans are, and that did not occur. And so we're looking to do that type of meeting this coming Thursday. And at that time, I'm hoping that we'll have additional information to provide to the residents with respect to the relocation payment, with respect to the noise issue, and some of the other concerns that the tenants raised.
Mr. Manager, just for Mr. Zimmerman, I had become aware of this issue, and I'd asked staff to look into it. I appreciate knowing that there's some involvement on staff.
I'd like to just get a few of the facts clarified.
Mr. Zimmerman, might I go first?
I yield, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Hines,
Thank you very much, because I need to put something on the record. Yeah. Under the State and Local Government Conflict of Interest Acts, I'm required to declare that I have a personal interest in the...
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to get a couple of facts clarified just so I understand. First, it's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, that the owner of this building had decided to, conduct renovations or whatever on a comprehensive basis by essentially removing all the tenants and issued notices.
That's correct. It's our understanding that in March of this year, the owner issued 120-day notices to all of the tenants. Well, for the tenants that were under lease, for the tenants who...
Okay. One thing at a time. So they've issued notices saying we're kicking everybody out.
Right. That they would have to vacate within 120 days.
120 days, which is the state, what's the most imposed on the landlord by the state, which would mean July 1, everybody'd have to be out of there.
Right, and for the individuals on a month-to-month, renting on a month-to-month basis, they were only given a 30 days notice to vacate.
Only given 30 days. Is that consistent with state law? I thought 120 days was required. It is not if you're only on month-to-month?
Well, in terms of the notice, the landlord is only required to give a 30 days notice if the tenant is renting on a month-to-month basis. If a tenant has a lease, then the landlord is required to give that 120-day notice.
Okay. Now,
Situation.
clearly the landlord knew they wanted to do this for some time and were preparing to do it. Is it true that they were bringing in new tenants and signing them to 12-month leases when it was clear that the 12-month this period falls within that 12-month period, they'd be kicking everybody out?
We actually have proof of that. One of the residents of Taylor Place did send in her lease. So we received her lease that was just executed February the 11th of this year, and it's a 12-month lease.
So in February, they signed somebody to a 12-month lease, and a few weeks later told everybody they're kicking them out in 120 days.
And that's just one example that we received, and that's an actual example that we have where we do have that tenant's lease.
Is it also true that, I mean, I've heard that people who'd signed the leases and were then given the eviction notice are basically being put at disadvantage if they want to leave sooner than that they're being held to the lease?
That's correct. That's what we understand as well, and we had that conversation with the owner the owner's representative this week. It's our understanding from the owner that they want to have a stream of income.
Well, I understand their motivation.
While they're renting.
I don't.
And
I don't think that.
And I say that because that's what they told us. Exactly.
I don't think we need to struggle to understand their motivation. It's just their behavior that I was interested in. Mr. Chairman, it's unfortunately not uncommon for us to hear situations where the owners of residential properties seem to have little regard for the people who live in their buildings and pay their bills. But I really think this may set a new standard for unscrupulous behavior by a landlord. I know what legal remedies may be available. We've been, cautioning people over and over that Virginia provides relatively little ability for local governments to protect tenants, sadly. But number one, I want to be sure that we were exercising every bit of authority we might have. And secondly, to the extent that some of these folks may have civil remedies available, because some of this certainly sounds to me like, I'd want to be talking to a lawyer, that perhaps we could assist tenants by pointing them, in the direction where they might get such help or providing such assistance and counsel as we can, because, frankly, somebody shouldn't be able to get away with this, in my opinion.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Mr. Zimmerman. Ms. Favola?
Thank you. I guess I just want to be very clear about what authority, if any, the county has in this situation. My understanding is that we're governed by state law and we don't have direct authority. But if I am wrong, I would like to know what options, if any, the county can bring to the table to help these tenants.
Yeah, the primary thing that we can do right now is serve in a negotiator to do what is right. We will explore any potential violations of any laws and provide any assistance that we can in helping people understand their rights in that regard. And we will also work hard to try to mitigate as much as we can through our inspections the impacts of the renovations that may be going on and impacting people while they are living there.
Well, I mean, in this case, since we will be doing inspections, the owner will have to file with us to get various building permits. I think we have to monitor this case at all levels throughout the county departments, because I for one, am really, I'm angry and disappointed that an owner in our community would choose to treat tenants this way, who many have been longtime residents. There should be some sense of ethical behavior and fair treatment, and I really find it very disturbing. So I want the county government to do everything we possibly can, legally and using moral persuasion, to help these tenants. I don't see a magical bullet here, but I think there are some opportunities that the county has to intervene, and intervene wisely on the tenants' behalf. This is a situation that I think really does require our best effort.
Thank you to